just having him stuff a ball player. Just keep playing with everybody. He's just toying with it. That's like everybody just got to wait. I mean, if you're rocking, can somebody don't move your arm? That's it. Number 3, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's an all-star. He's a big shot. He's got a good mid-range game. And okay. I know it was a dunk, so I didn't give it to him. It was a half little smitty. These guys kind of went
kind of above the rim.
Kind of above.
The move's definitely worthy.
It was way worthy. And then he had another. So same spot. Seems like he likes this for the game. Nice. He just set him up. Yeah, he said get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Spin. Like you going, stop. What's the setup?
You average 30 a game.
Number 2. Now this one was pretty good. Joshua Okogie, Atlanta kid. Don't do a 360.
Oh,
in the paint. Whoa. That's creativity. And it would have got me if I was in the finish.
You rarely say a 360 that's not a dunk, but
not a trophy. Okay, Joshua Okogie. And then we'll play Kyrie. Game winner. First one. The bus is real fast. Picking up people real quick. Toronto. Love this. We'll stop for the dime and be able to get back and knock it down. Ooh-wee. Everybody's so much in love with that 3-point. We need it. Still step back and got it. Then we have some bonus, man.
Oh, wait. Bonus. Christmas bonus.
Asher Torrance's son. His first bucket.
What up, guys? How y'all doing tonight? Excuse me. I'm working on this thing where I'm trying to be able to send a link into my in my bio. I'm trying to send a link in the chat so I can actually have people on, like we do with the panel. So that's what I'm currently working on that. Currently. Something that I got to play around with. All right. How does this work? Shit. Full screen. This is something that I'm gonna have to play around with. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, what's going on, guys? Excuse me. What's up tonight? So, I'm having a serious I was talking earlier about when we had a conversation about the best player in the game, right? We had we have the conversation about the best player in the game. There are tiers, right? There's the best player in the game, so I think it's Giannis. I think he's the best player in the game. And then there's the next tier where there's the serious conversation. That's Joker, Curry, Embiid, Luka. That's the serious conversation, right? And then there's the conversation tier where, like, we're talking about these dudes, but like it's not a serious conversation. That's Ja, Book, Donovan Mitchell. Like, we talking about these dudes, Jimmy Butler. We talking about these guys, Anthony Davis, but it's not a serious conversation. I bring that up to say that we're moving into a space where, and I ain't saying we there yet, but I think we moving into a space where we're almost at a point where we're gonna have to start having a conversation about Jason Tatum being the best player in the game. We ain't there yet, but we moving closer to that space where he's in that serious conversation with Luka, Curry, Joker, Embiid. We're not there yet, but we're moving closer to that space, right? I'm watching him yesterday, and he's at a point where he's improved. Not only has he improved every year, right? He's improved every year, and in the process of him improving every year, both on the offensive and defensive side of the basketball, his game has gotten so much better that he's now in the conversation. He's in that conversation. He ain't in a serious conversation yet. I saw him. He faced up Drew Holiday, gave him a head and shoulder fake, took 2 dribbles left, and pulled up and knocked one down about 17 feet right on him. Did the same thing 2 trips later, where he did the same thing, right? 2 trips later where he did the same thing, and in the process of him doing the same thing, he knocked both those shots down. When he knocked both those shots down, I'm thinking to myself, if he could get that in his game more consistently, he's a top 3 player. He's a top 3 player for the next 5 to 8 years. Because all the other stuff, I see it coming together. I see it all coming together, and slowly but surely, slowly but surely, he's becoming part of that elite company. So now we're at a point where, like I said, guys like Giannis, who's at the top of the league, and then guys like Joker, Luka, Embiid, Curry. Like, I don't bring up James, I don't bring up KD. And the reason why I don't bring them dudes up is because them dudes they've been in the conversation for a decade. So there's no reason to talk about them. No reason whatsoever to talk about them. Because they've already been in the conversation, and they still are, right? They still are. So I'm gonna be with you in a second. Jillian, no doubt. There's no reason to talk about them. The other guys, we talk about them, but they're not there yet. And then there's the serious conversation guys. And with Jason Tatum, the fact that he's improved so much every season, and the Boston Celtics being at the top of the Eastern Conference like they are, emphatically, by the way, like, it's not a question of whether or not they're at the top of the East. They're at the top of the East. It's not a question. And he's the man on that team. So with that being said, this group, I think they got a legit shot at winning the NBA championship. So when I look at who the Bucks are, with Middleton in and out of the lineup, with Giannis being as inconsistent as he's been with this group. When I say this group, I mean with the Celtics. Like, he'll go off on them, and then, like, I'll see what I saw last night. I worry. I still think that Milwaukee's winning the NBA championship, but I'm not as sure as I was a month ago. I'm not. I'm not as sure as I was a month ago. And the reason why I'm not as sure as I was a month ago is because this Milwaukee unit, they can play close, but when they fall in the hole, somebody brought something really interesting to me. When they fall in the hole, it's a difficult task for them to get back in the game. But they do get themselves back in the game, and they expend a lot of energy to get themselves back in the game. So I'm still on board with Milwaukee winning it. I still stand on that logic, and I'm having a difficult time seeing somebody beat them 4 times in a week. I'm just not as sure as I was a month ago because I'm looking at what Boston is bringing just from a defensive standpoint. And the fact that they get Robert Williams back, and not only get Robert Williams back, that gives them an anchor. And the stuff that they used to do, well, we don't have to do that nearly as much. We don't have to do that nearly as much now as we did prior to Robert Williams coming back. Like, we don't got to rebound as much. So that leaves us more opportunities to do other stuff, like defend better on the perimeter, right? That means that gives us more opportunity to get out and run more, as opposed to before, it was just, we had to do all the dirty work in addition to score all the points. Well, now we got our dirty work guy back. So that's big for them. Like I said, Jason Tatum, I felt like this from the beginning, how good he could be. He got on a crew that was already building something, right? So Marcus Smart was already there when he got there. Jaylen Brown was already there when he got there. But these guys would, like I said, Jaylen Brown was in year 1. He had just finished year 1. So they basically came in right behind each other. Marcus Smart had been there for 2 years. Yeah, 2 or 3 years Marcus Smart had been there. And Jason Tatum turned out to be the best player on that crew. So with him being the best player on that crew, Jason Tatum now becomes the primary ball handler, not primary ball handler. He becomes the primary scorer on that crew. One of their best wing defenders. He's now the man. Because he's the man, he's now got to play like that. I see him a lot different today than I saw him last year. He's improved so much. And when I say he's improved, I don't just mean his ball handling. I don't just mean his ability to score. I'm talking about a multitude of things. I'm talking about mentally he looks tougher than what he was last year. He does not look like the same dude he was last year, which I think that's huge for the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown looks like I'm a lot better playing with this dude than without him, which is dope. And I mean, I hear people saying to me, you think that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could be like Jordan and Pippen? No, I don't think they could be that good. No, because on the defensive side of the basketball, they're not close. They're better, no doubt about that, but they're not close on the defensive side of the basketball. They don't create turnovers. They don't speed up the game. They don't create turnovers like that. They don't speed up the game like Jay and Pippen, like Jay and Pippen did. They're not the one-on-one players. I mean, as good as Jaylen Brown is, that handle still needs to get tighter. He still turns the ball over a lot, more than I'd like to see him turn the ball over. So I still think that they're a crew to be dealt with, but I don't think they're that good yet. No. I do think that they can win. I do think that they can win the NBA championship, but a lot of stuff got to go right for them. A lot. It's not like I think that they go up against Milwaukee and they just serve Milwaukee in 7 games. I don't think so. But I like what I'm seeing from this Boston Celtics team. What I do know is, and I still stand on this logic, is Jason Tatum is entering that conversation where he's entering that space where we're going to have to start having a serious conversation about him being the best player in the game. And I don't think we're there yet, but he's getting close to that. I think we're definitely getting close to that. So I don't know how this works. How do you get on YouTube? I did see that, Jillian, that they are on an 8-game winning streak. I did see that, and they are rolling right now. I like what I'm seeing from Embiid more than anything. Like, we don't talk about Embiid nearly as much. And the reason why we don't talk about Embiid nearly as much, what up, FIFA? How you doing, brother? We don't talk about Embiid nearly as much. And the reason why we don't talk about Embiid nearly as much is because what he's doing, I mean, it's not new, right? I mean, he was 30 and 11 last year. So what he's doing now, he was doing that last season. And he was doing that the year before last, right? So because he was doing that the year before last, it's kind of expected what he's doing right now. And getting Maxey back in the lineup really soon, I think that's going to help. I definitely think that that's going to help Philadelphia. But you know how I am, Jill. Until they show it to, until James Harden can show it to me in the playoffs and not go to pieces, I can't get on board. I just can't. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, I cannot. What up, Sports? Fair to say Joker the MVP right now? I think he's definitely in the conversation. I think he's a top 3 candidate for league MVP. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. He's a top 3 league MVP candidate. No doubt. And I mean, I had Denver before the season started. I had them as a top 3 seed. And Joker's looked great lately. Yes, he has. And not lately. This is basically who Joker is. But the difference now is they've become more consistent. And Aaron Gordon is playing really good, which is what they've been waiting for. Which is exactly what they've been waiting for. Losing Jeff Green is going to be a blow, but it's not going to be a huge blow simply because of how good Aaron Gordon has been playing. Right? Simply because of how good Aaron Gordon's been playing. Boise, I said this to you already. Jason Tatum is better than Devin Booker. I still stand on that logic, and I will stand on that logic. Devin Booker is buckets. Devin Booker is primarily buckets, but that's basically what he is. Jason Tatum is more complete. Not only is he more complete, but he does it on a better team. He does it on a team that's just as good. See, with Devin Booker, I mean, as a defender, as a distributor, as a playmaker, he isn't those things that Jason Tatum is. I mean, Jason Tatum, number one, is I get on the logic of guys being bigger, but Jason Tatum being bigger, I think that's to his advantage. I think that's to his advantage in this particular situation, but I think Jason Tatum is better than him in a multitude of ways. So if JT top 5, Brown top 10, Jay more turnovers. So let's see. Giannis, Embiid, Giannis, Joker, Luka, Curry, Embiid, Tatum, KD. I'm leaving somebody out. Giannis. I want to make sure I get this correct. Giannis, Joker, Luka, Curry, Embiid, Tatum, KD. Then it gets tricky after that. Then it gets tricky after that. That's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets tricky for me. Prime CP3 or Iverson? Allen Iverson. I don't know why this isn't working. How do you put this? Yep. The problem that I have with Anthony Davis being a top 10 player, I think he's a top 10 talent, no doubt about that. But I think the problem that I'm having is what I've always had with him. There's no question in my mind, Anthony Davis, excuse me, there's no question in my mind, Anthony Davis is a top 10 player. There's no question in my mind, Anthony Davis is a top 10 player when he's in the lineup. When he's healthy, I can make the argument that he's a top 5 player. And he gets to that point. So the problem is that he hasn't been healthy, man. He has not been healthy. And because he hasn't been healthy, that's the main that's where the problem lies, yo. That's where the problem, that's definitely where the problem lies with me. So if he's healthy and he's playing the way I know he knows how to play and bringing what he brings to whatever unit when he's on that Laker team, I mean, before he got hurt, he was 31 and 15. 31 and 15. Now, I know this whole logic of better basketball player and all of that logic. All right, I'm good. I can appreciate that. But I still have had a difficult time with separate people. I still have a difficult time with people not separating better basketball player and production. And there was a time when Anthony Davis was a top 5 player in the game. That was going on. And in this season, he was playing like arguably a top 5 player. 31 and 15. He was playing like arguably a top 5 player. 31 and 15. He was on his way to being a first-team all-league defender. And there's no logic that anybody in this room could give me that when you got a guy that's 31 and 15 and is a first-team all-league defender, which is where Anthony Davis was on his way to, that they're not a top 5 player, or at least in the conversation as being a top 5 player. There's nobody in here that could give me legit logic to suggest that. Because again, I know we live in an era of scoring the basketball because I know that Adam Silver looked at the landscape and he knows for a fact that 92 to 89 games, 95 to 90 games, those games, nobody really is watching that. So what we got to do is we got to speed up the pace. In the process of speeding up the pace, some things are going to fall by the wayside. Some things like playing defense. right? Playing defense the way defense was played a couple of years ago. We got to be able to slow that down. We have to be able to slow that down. So, with that being said, they wanted to speed the game up. And in speeding the game up, right? And speeding up the game, defense fell by the wayside. With defense falling by the wayside, now it's at a premium. So a guy like Anthony Davis, right? A guy like Anthony Davis, who is 31 points, 15 boards for 31 and 15 for over a month, and he was continuing to be that before he got hurt. He was continuing to do that before he got hurt. So before that happened, 31 and 15, 2 blocks, on his way to being a first team all-league defender. Probably not a first team all-NBA performer because the Lakers are bad. That's going to be the difference. He wouldn't go before Joker. He wouldn't go before Embiid, and he wouldn't go before Joker. I get that part, right? But he was on his way to getting back to being the elite player that was in the top 5 conversation. So, I mean, the logic that he wasn't a top 5 player in 2020, I don't understand what we're talking about here. That part I don't get. What player in the NBA who, if I'm not mistaken, the year before that, before he got hurt in New Orleans, finished second in Defensive Player of the Year. I think he was second team All-NBA, finished second in Defensive Player of the year before that, and then he gets on the crew with the Lakers, and he leads the best team in the NBA, right? He leads the best team in the NBA in points, rebounds, and blocks. That's called production. That's called production right there. So because that's called production, I'm having a difficult time believing that a guy that's doing that well at that point was not in the conversation as being a top 5 player in 2020. That blows my mind to even say something like that. See that right? What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get myself riled up. I will not get myself riled up tonight. Nope. I'm just having a conversation. Why isn't this working, man? I want to know what I need to do. Word. Hey, Leb, you just asked me a question about Shea and Ja. Shea is on the team in Oklahoma City where he's the guy, and I think Ja's a better athlete than Shea. And not only do I think Ja's a better athlete than Shea, I think he's a better transition player than Shea. I think his mid-range game has gotten better. I don't know if it's better than Shea's, but in terms of a basketball player, I think Ja may be better in certain areas. But I also think that Shea has now become a franchise player. I think the timeline has moved up between those two, and I think that's dope. Right? I think that's dope. And if I had to pick between one of those two, if I'm starting my franchise, if I'm picking between the two of those guys, Shea's been more durable. I think that's the difference. I think I could get more from him. Ja is very dynamic, and he's gonna give me, right? He's gonna give me more excitement. That's what he's gonna do. And not only is he gonna give me more excitement, right? He's definitely box office. Shea is a constant 23 to 25 a game. He's a constant 23 to 25 a game. And I think I could build my unit around him. And in the process of me building my unit around him, we're going to improve. So to answer your question, I would go. I think Ja is overrated. I do. I think Ja is overrated. I think he's a top 15 player, maybe top 10. maybe top 10, but I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that I'm taking Ja over. I'm not going to say that I'm taking Ja over Shea. So, are there 10 players that I can name that I would take over Ja as the number one option? Let's see: Giannis, Luka, Joker, Embiid, Curry, Tatum, KD. Who else am I thinking about? I'm not thinking about the old man because James is 38, so I'm not thinking about the old man. Book. Number one options. Let's see. Eight guys. Donovan Mitchell. I would take Donovan Mitchell before him, number one. Buckets. Buckets has a number one option over him. Trae Young. That's 11 guys right there. So Kevin, do you know what the word bias means? So I'm clear. Kevin, that's your name? Do you know what bias means, Kevin? Tell everybody in here what bias means. So if you know what it means, tell everybody in here what bias means. Go ahead. Tell everybody in here what bias means. I did say Tatum. I said Tatum early. I don't think they're done, but to win the NBA championship, that's going to be hard. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they're done. No, I will, because I got to take accountability for, according to him, the stupidness that I say. So go ahead. If you got to go look it up, That's fine. But tell everybody in here. Cause to feel or show inclination or prejudice for or against someone or something. Okay, so let's start with feel or show inclination or prejudice. That means to prejudge. I don't need to prejudge anything. I already saw it. To prejudge means that I didn't see it. I'm not prejudging anything. I already seen it. So because I already seen it, that's what I'm going off of. I'm not prejudging anything. So that right there shuts the bias logic down. I don't think you even know what bias means. Plus, it also means to give an unfair advantage. Well, what's unfair about what I said? What's unfair about what I said? Let's do it. What do you mean don't take it there with you? You're the one started it. You're the one started this. Don't take it there with you. Oh, you're a goofball. I can tell. Yep. This dude is a goofball. No doubt. He a goofball. I'm good. So to answer the question, to answer the question, it depends on where you have Ja Morant rated. If you think Ja Morant is a top 10 player, right? If you think that Ja Morant is a top 10 player, I think he's a little overrated. I don't think he's a top 10 player. If you think he's a top 12 player, we can definitely have that conversation. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. But if you're talking to me like this dude is a top 5 player, or I'm not going that far. No, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that with him. So you can have two guys on the team that are top 10 players. Is Jaylen Brown a top 10 player? I don't know, man. That part, even though it's hard to argue a dude that's 27 a game shooting almost 50%. It's hard to argue that. But with that also being said, he looks a certain way because he's running with a certain dude. Right? What I always equated to is I equated to the Alvin Harper on the Cowboys. Was Pippen a top 5 player with Jordan? Pippen was a top 5 player when he was with Jordan. But anyway, I equate it to the Alvin Harper with the Cowboys. So when Alvin Harper when he had Michael Irvin on one end, right? Not only did he have Michael Irvin on one end, he had Emmitt Smith in the backfield. So he was basically the third option in the offense. So it looked a lot better until he went somewhere else. In the process of him going somewhere else, right? Now he's got to be that guy, and it doesn't look the same. It looks it looks way different now. It looks way different. What's up, boys? How you doing, brother? I think the issue that we also have too, when we talk about top 5 players, I think you guys go primarily off talent. That's what I think you guys do. And I don't just do that. I care about what you produce in addition to how good you are. So let me put something on your mind real quick, Leb. If I'm not mistaken, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the last 40 years, Doc and Moses, Bird and McHale, Jordan and Pippen, Kobe and Shaq, Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash. I think it's 7 altogether. 7 guys. So with them 7, I'm missing 2 guys, but those 5 duos, first team All NBA, all 5 of those guys, first team All NBA. In 1996, Scottie Pippen, not only Scottie Pippen in 1996 was first team All NBA for the 3rd straight year. He was first team All NBA. He was first team All Defense for the 3rd straight year. Right? He was first team All Defense for the 3rd straight year. First team All NBA and first team All Defense for the 3rd straight year. So if he's first team All Defense for the 3rd straight year, he's first team All NBA for the 3rd straight year. What player, and by the way, his team won the NBA championship that 3rd year. This is for the 3rd straight year. Who is that today? Who is that today? Fact. Brown definitely top 15. I think you can get that off. Sure. I definitely think you can get that off. I definitely think that you could get that off. Top 15. Definitely top 20. Definitely. I definitely believe Jaylen Brown is a top 20 player. No doubt about that. But top 15, yeah, I think you can get that off for Jaylen Brown. Sure. I think I'm having a difficult time thinking of 15 guys in the game better than him. Nah, you don't think so? Nah. I don't think Brown is over Siakam. Because Siakam is the number 1. I think Siakam is a top 15 player too. I definitely think that. So again, if we borrow any health issues, right? If we borrow any health issues, Giannis, Joker, Luka, Curry, Embiid, Tatum, KD. This is where it gets tricky after 7. Mitchell. I think Dame is. I don't think Dame is. I think Dame is going to play his way back into the top 10. But I do think Dame is a top 15 player. I do think that James is a top 15 player. I think James is a top 15 player. I think James is still a top 10 player. Zion, no doubt. Trae Young. Buckets. Yes, I do think Buckets is a top 15 player. Embiid, I think Embiid's a top 5 player. Stop saying Embiid. So Diaby, stop telling me that I'm lying. Don't tell me that I'm lying. Yo, go take your bullshit rhetoric somewhere else, man. Don't come in here calling me no liar. Matter of fact, get up out of here. Beat it. I don't got time for goofballs. I'm not listening to that nonsense. I'm not. You could go. Get up out of here. Get this dude up out of here. I'm good. I don't got time for that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of people talking to me because I don't say what they say, or I feel a certain way about something, and I'm lying. You don't know me to call me a liar. So you could bounce, my man. Get up out of here. I'm good. Get up out of here. Giannis, Joker, Luka, Curry. Giannis, Joker, Luka, Curry, AD, Mitchell, DeMar DeRozan. I don't think DeMar DeRozan is better than Jaylen Brown. I don't. Paul George, yes. Sabonis, no. Stage, we already said Splat. We already said Embiid. Embiid is at the top of the list. He a top 5 player, Stage. We already said that. We already said Embiid. I already said I think Embiid is a top 5 player. Now, there's a difference between, and we've had this conversation already, guys. There's a difference between better player and playing better, right? I still think KD is a better player than Jason Tatum. That's why I think Jason Tatum is starting to get close to that. I think Jason Tatum is starting to get close to that serious conversation logic. But I still think KD is a better I think KD a better basketball player. I do. But Jaylen Brown, but not Jaylen Brown, I'm sorry, but Jason Tatum plays. I think Jason Tatum is playing better. Curry, Giannis, Tatum, Joker, Luka. Nah, I ain't going that far. I don't think Curry the best player in the game. So how can I say what after the playoffs last year? Tony, what do you mean? How can you say that after the playoffs? How can I say what after the playoffs last year, Tony? So I can understand your logic. What do you mean? How can I say that after the playoffs last year? What do you mean? How can I say what after the playoffs last year? I did not. I did my all-star starters last week. I do think Curry's a top 5 player. I do. Yes, I do. My all-star starters in the East, I had Donovan Mitchell and Irv in the backcourt. And in the front court, I had Jason Tatum, Giannis. I don't think Embiid is starting. I'm missing somebody. Oh, and KD. KD, Jason Tatum, and Giannis. And Irv and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt. Those are the starters that I see in the East. And in the West, I see Curry and Luka. James is starting. James is going to start. Curry, Luka, James, Joker. AD would have started if he hadn't gotten hurt. Curry, Luka in the backcourt. James, Joker. I think Zion is going to start. Yeah, I think Zion is going to start in the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough. Yeah, it is. I think so. What's the truth, Andrew? I'm ducking the truth. What's the truth, Andrew? You coming from the perspective of a Celtic fan. So what's the truth, Andrew? So I'm clear. What am I ducking? I'm ducking the truth from us. What am I ducking? What's the truth? I don't like what I'm seeing from Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton. Both of them. Mm-hmm. As long as James, to be honest with you, I'm having a difficult time with James not being a top 10 player. As long as James is playing, I mean, the dude went for 38 on Christmas. The Lakers have no business on TV. None. The Lakers have no business, especially on Christmas Day. The Lakers have no business on TV on Christmas Day. No way. They had no business. But the reason why they on is because of James. That's it. No other reason why they on is because of James. No other reason. That's a bad basketball team. With the exception, not even with the exception, that whole unit with the collection, not the exception, with the collection of talent that the Los Angeles Lakers have with Anthony Davis, with LeBron James, with Russell Westbrook, I think they're the worst I think they're the worst team in the league. With the collection of talent that they have, yeah, I see San Antonio's at the bottom of the league. Charlotte's at the bottom of the league. Sure, Houston. With the collection of talent that the Los Angeles Lakers have, I think they're the worst team in the NBA. The worst. No doubt in my mind. I think they're at the bottom of the league. They're the worst team in the game. No reason why a team with that collection of talent should lose the way that they do. No way. With the guys that they have, there's no way that they should be losing like that. Not only that, this team, as bad as they've been playing, right? This team, as bad as they've been playing, they still only 2 games, I think 2 or 3 games out of the play-in tournament. As bad as they've been playing. Garbage. Your best player is 38 years old. He's your best player. That's been a problem. Your second best player is made of glass. He's your second best player. Let's see here. What did I miss? I want to make sure I heard what you said, Andrew. You said they're a great tandem and they need each other to be great. Okay, that's not news. What's your point? They're on the same team together. But I'm trying to understand what your point is. That's not news. What's your point, Andrew? They need each other to be great. Right. Jason Tatum needs Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown needs Jason Tatum. However, Jason Tatum is the better player. The logic that Jason Tatum is nothing without Brown, that's goofy. That's goofy right there. So when you say nothing, what do you mean nothing? You mean like he's a bench player? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that the logic? They're basically so answer this question for me, Andrew. Are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, are they, because you said they equally need each other, are they the same player? So I'm clear. Are they the same player? Because if I need you to be successful and you need me to be successful equally, that means that both of us are basically the same. So are they the same player? So what's your point then? What's your point? They're not the same player. Nope. When I saw Jason Tatum, when he came out of college, I remember watching him in the summer league in Salt Lake City, and I'm like, this dude got 20 a game written all over him. Every year his game has gotten better. Jaylen Brown, even though Jason Tatum has been consistent, he's gotten so much better. He's gotten so much better. And not only has he gotten better, not only has he gotten better, he's gotten better in every aspect of his game. And this is the dude who's in year 6 now, right? So he's not even in his prime yet. He's approaching that. And in the process of him approaching his prime, he's still ascending. Jaylen Brown is, I'm almost ready to say he is who he is. I don't know if you took Jaylen Brown and he became a number 1 somewhere else. I don't know how sharper he would really be. I don't know. I can't say with 100% certainty how much sharper he would be. That's not to say that he's not awesome, because like I said, a dude that's averaging 27 a game, shooting almost 50%, there's no way that you can mask that. He's clearly a boss. He's clearly a baller. And I think that his game would travel. Here's the question, though. The question is when he goes from being a number 2, because Jason Tatum is the guy on that team. So when he goes from being a number 2 to being the guy, is his game going to translate to being that guy when we're running everything for you? When you are the guy on defense that everybody's focused on? When you're the guy in the meat and potatoes of the game that we're going to for buckets, even though Jaylen Brown does lead the Celtics in fourth quarter points. But with that being said, I don't think that him and Jason Tatum are the same player. I do think that they have some similarities, but I think Jason Tatum is a better player. I do believe that. If Jaylen Brown is a first option and a first round exit every year, you're still a number 1. And not only are you a number 1, you could at least get your team to the playoffs. That part I don't fight. You could at least get your team to the playoffs. Word. Can you win a playoff series? That's where you separate. That's where you separate guys. Right? That's where these guys start to do this right here. When you can win playoff series. When not only can I get us to the playoffs, but I can throw us on my back and I can get us past a team. Now, when you're talking about getting to the NBA Finals, I mean, that's something completely different. That's a whole different conversation. But if you could get your crew out of the first round, that's where the separation comes. Something completely different. Especially if you are the guy. If you that dude, no doubt. 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 No Hey, Angel, yo, so that's gonna be his. That's gonna be until he does something different. We're gonna talk about what Jason Tatum did in the finals. All right, I can get with that. Sure. All right. All right. I can definitely get with that logic. And I also saw Jason Tatum the year before that take his team to the playoffs when Jaylen Brown was out for the rest of the season. So make that mad face. You're talking about bailing him out. How about when he was out that season and he put 50 on the Brooklyn Nets in order to win a game in a series? So he was the guy, and he proved that he could do that. So bailing him out every game. So did he bail him out in game 6 when they were in an elimination game when he went into Milwaukee and scored 46? He bailed him out that day? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I watched that. I'm 100% confident I watched that game. 100% confident I watched that game. They're in an elimination game. They lose. They're out. He goes in there and puts 46 on them. 46. I'm actually watching this game. Shout Irv. Ain't nobody bailing them out. Nuh-uh, I'm not doing that. I just recognize a great player when I see one. Unfortunately, I don't pick apart every great player's game when they're on their ascension. I don't do that. Unlike you, I don't do that. I don't need to do that. I can't do that. And the reason why I can't do that is because guys have holes in their game, right? And in the process of guys having holes in their game, there's going to be deficiencies. That's going to happen. I can't fight that. No, I can't fight that. And I won't fight that. So guys are going to have holes in their game. So I'm not here to pick apart every guy's game or everything about him. So once again, we still got to get to the bottom. The whole bias thing. In order to be biased, you have to prejudge, which means that you haven't seen anything. There's no reason for me to be biased towards James. He's been in the league for 20 years, my man. He's been in the league for 20 years. There's no reason for me to prejudge. I've seen it all already. So I'm going off of everything that I've seen. Same logic, right? Same logic with Jason Tatum. This is year 6. I'm not prejudging anything. Excuse me. I'm not prejudging anything. I'm going off what I've seen so far. That's all I'm doing. No, I'm not overlooking any parts of his game. In fact, I talk about every aspect of his game. Just because I don't poke holes, small holes like this, like you do in their game, I don't do that. That's not me. I don't do that. No. And I'm not going to do that. But it makes sense to me because I understand. I understand. Diaby, I think this dude's name is Diaby. Diaby is a Jordan guy. So because Diaby is a Jordan guy, he stays on me about James. He stays on me about guys like that. And because he stays on me about guys like that, I let it go in one ear and out the other because I don't have time for that logic. That's goof. That doesn't make much sense to me. That doesn't make much sense to me at all. So he did choke in the finals. Yeah. Yes, he did. He was not very good in the NBA finals. And I think that he wore that. Right? I think that he wore that. Definitely wore that in the finals. No doubt about that. He wore that. And rightfully so. I think it was game 4 I watched. Game 4? I think the series was tied 2-2. No, game 5. It was game 5 that I watched. And we had gotten into a space where like Jason Tatum had missed like 2 or 3 shots and he started going the other way. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, My man, they coming to you. So you can't disappear. You can't. They're coming to you. And they're gonna keep coming to you. So you're either gonna do one thing. You're either gonna have to get off the floor, right? You're either gonna have to get off the floor, or I'm gonna go 8 for 30. Because they're not gonna stop coming to you. They're going to. They're gonna keep coming to you. So because they keep coming to you, because they're gonna keep coming to you, you gotta pick your head up and you gotta get back into it. And I think his game has changed, right? I think his game has changed this season because he saw what he saw last year. Because he saw what he saw last year, and he knows that, in order for me to be the man, I got to be more consistent. And he's been more consistent this season. Definitely that. No, I'm not. I would not. And it does make sense, Midas, but I wouldn't be fair if I would be unfair if I didn't say anything bad about him. And I'm talking about how bad he was in the NBA Finals. I'm talking about that. So because of that, I'm not unfairly criticizing him. I mean, that's it. That's what happened last year, not just in the finals, but in the playoffs as well. I mean, he had some games where he wasn't very good. He had some games where he was not very good. And because of that, I think it cost him. I think it cost him a lot. So it's about that time for me. It's definitely about that time for me. So I've been here long enough. It's good to see y'all dudes and dudettes. We'll do it again real soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.